Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. My guest this morning is Honorable Olulade, former member, Lagos State House of Assembly, and well, he is also president of Elenio Care Foundation. Did I get that right? Yes. That's correct. Thank you very much for coming on. He is also a staunch member of APC. We also will be having on the program this morning Majid Jamil. Mr. Jamil is executive editor of Short Report. Majid, you there? Morning, Majid. Well, Majid will certainly be joining us. Majid. Okay. He will be with us. Well, the occasion is that over the weekend, a statement, the national leader of APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, did put out a statement, and it was, on the herder farmer crisis. There are those who are saying that actually we've been wanting to hear, that is to say, all those people talking about it, that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu hasn't yet weighed in on the matter. It's an important matter. Everybody has been concerned. The president has spoken a number of times on it. All eminent members of society have spoken. But then Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu held his peace for quite a while. And then on Saturday, he now broke that silence by putting out a statement really that, we'll look at that statement and this morning. One of the main things that shows quickly is that Asiwaju notes that, look, it's not going to be a military, exclusively military solution. Whereas, yes, the military will be needed, but you see, we can't really depend on that. Everybody is going to have to be on board. In fact, maybe these are the times, because people talk about situational logic, maybe these are the times, but it seemed that the statement was quite even-handed between the farmers and the herdsmen, as it were, explaining that, look, both parties have a right, wherever they happen to be in this country, to have a peaceful existence and indeed to prosper. And so he, put forward some ideas for how both sides could prosper and go to where they really are destined to be, all other things being equal. Give me your reaction to this statement, because I know you must have gone over it.
I would say I read that statement several times. I need to digest everything that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was saying and is trying to import into our system politically and as a leader. First of all, let me say this. I have seen that he has demonstrated something to us. That it's not just about war, but Jojo could also do the magic. And we should also look at what is the root cause of this crisis that we're having. The herdsmen, the farmers are looking at their economic prosperity. It's more of the economy than of tribe, than of religion that we make it look like in the past. But Asiwaju have been able to provide us a solution. The solution is look at the root cause of the problem, and the solution is that we all should now take away the fact that this man is a Fulani man, the other man is an Igbo man or a Yoruba man. That we have herdsmen that are doing legitimate business, that the only challenge they have is for them to be properly educated and given proper information. He made it known in the release that the nomadic system of running their business would not be that profitable to them as it's being done worldwide now. They should start thinking about what is happening in Netherlands, for instance, How do they rear their cows? So this is a point that the herdsmen must take home and sit down with themselves and look at how best can we do this. The farmers, on the other hand, Asiwaju have told us that, look, you can't just say you want to support the herdsmen and leave the farmers aside. The farmers, this will continue to create another problem. And it's going to lead us to several other crises that we might not have envisaged now, considering the fact that these are businessmen, they are investors who have invested in their livestock, and there are farmers who are also invested on their farms. So they also need a return. So if you are providing the herdsmen with a support from the government, so should also be applied to the farmers in order for us to bring in equity and justice into the matter.
Indeed.
And aside from that, when you look at what Asiwaju have been able to provide for us in that article, is for us to understand that we are Nigerians. And as Nigerians, we are all born to live together in harmony.
Yes.
And as such, we should not continue to degenerate up to the level that we see somebody's occupation as bad and we just term it as a particular sector occupation. We have seen the likes of King Wasiu Ayinde Marshal, the musician, how he has been able to show the entire world how the herdsmen are supposed to be operating in the system. And
one second, I'll be right back with you. And you brought up a number of things there. Oh, by the way, yeah, we have been joined by Majid now. Majid is the executive editor, Upshot Reports. Good morning, Majid, and thank you very much for joining us. You know how it is with internet. Majid is there, but you know how it happens sometimes. The line is actually frozen, which is no good to us. So we'll continue in studio, and as soon as the line loosens up, we'll get Majid's input as well. Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Olulade. You mentioned two things there, ethnicity and religion. And this also featured in Bola Ahmed Tinubu's statement. That is to say, it featured because he accused those in positions of leadership of fanning the flames unnecessarily of ethnicity and religion. And he actually opined in there that, look, any leader who is doing that is hardly worth the position of a leader, thereby putting the responsibility for the situation we have on the hands, at least the proper managing of it, on those that are political leaders. First of all, would you agree that this is a different kind of sentiment coming from Tinubu, by which I mean it's much broader based now? Leaders don't probably like that in the Nigerian context. The president is from the north, Tinubu is from the south, southwest. People nowadays, it's more politically correct to think of yourself, so, look, I'm a Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian, and all those other things are subdivisions. But essentially, because Tinubu was aiming in that direction, looking as it were, it seemed to me to hope that this would ignite with the right people and catch on this whole nationalism, theme.
Honestly, listening or reading what Asiwaju wrote, I'm highly impressed. It's changed my mentality. It shows me that this is the kind of leader that we have. It shows somebody who is a Nigerian, he's a patriotic Nigerian, a leader that we can all follow. Because
but the indication seems to be that other heavyweight leaders as well are not playing the game this way.
That is why we need someone like Tinubu to play the game the way it should be. Because in the past, what we see of him in the past was a man that is protecting Lagos initially. At the time, he was protecting the entire Southwest. Today is beyond, he's an international man. This is a man that relates with several country leaders.
So it's a situational logic thing.
Yes,
these are the times.
It's logical for him now to speak as a leader of the country, not as a sectional leader.
Okay.
So
Majid has come back on air. Touch wood. Good morning, Majid. Majid Jamil, Executive Editor, Upshot Report.
Hello.
Now we're not going to give up. Good morning, sir. Okay. You're there. I can hear your voice. Never mind the beautiful graphic we have on the screen in front of us here. The important thing is that we have Majid with us. Majid, you can hear us.
It's very faint. Very faint. I can barely hear you.
Oh dear. Oh dear. And the funny thing is that I can hear you quite loudly. Okay, let's, because your volume is good, your level is good for those of us listening. Let me see if you can hear me. I wanted to ask your, impressions on Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's statement on the herder farmers crisis and preferring ways forward. That it wasn't going to, it can't be by the military alone.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. This is not the first time the national leader of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would be making very specific and categorical statements on issues that border on national security, the economy, and especially the ravaging herders and farmers crisis. And the key point in Asiwaju's statement over the weekend is the fact that you cannot talk about the herders in isolation of the farmers that are being brutalized, that are being killed, that whose crops are being destroyed. He said it must be a holistic approach, and that the leaders, especially governors, should refrain from making statements that could set the nation aflame. Key among the points raised by Asiwaju in that statement is that he said, as vital as security is to the solution of this matter, we must realize that security measures alone will not suffice. He said we needed enhanced security, probably as a first step, but then a holistic issue that will resolve this herders farmers crisis once and for all. And he said we should be careful in handling this issue, because the whole world is watching, and this is an issue that could lead to food crisis. We all saw what happened a couple of weeks back when those in the northern parts of the country stopped bringing food to the southern part of the country. We are federalism, and issues like this should not divide us. We're in a situation where a farmer grows his crops for a whole year, and herders go there in open range and feed such products, such crops, the proceeds of a year of farming into cattle. I think it does not augur well. And each time the farmers raise issues, just recently some farmers were killed in Ekiti State by raising issues with the farmers who bring their cattle to graze on their farm. And it's not only in Ekiti, it has happened in Benue, it has happened in several parts of the country. Benue is the acclaimed food basket. It has distorted the food supply chain to other parts of the country. So that's why Asiwaju is raising this critical issue at this point. He's issuing a major statement, just like Honorable Olulade has said in the studio there with you. It's a point that should be taken seriously, even probably setting up a high-powered committee of governors and security agencies to address this issue once and for all. We are approaching the rainy season again, and I think farmers want to be assured that there won't be serious crisis when they go back to their farms.
Thank you, Majid. Honorable Olulade, Bola Ahmed Tinubu says that in that statement, I think it's important that we must all get hold of our better selves. I mean, because look, and this I think is going to be the rub. We've spoken about ethnicity and religion, and the statement actually, berates those leaders that fall short of this notion. But we have to all get hold of our better selves. I wonder how optimistic you are that will come to fruition pretty soon, because this sentiment that Asiwaju has reiterated, it's been known, and we've often heard that, look, the crisis we have in our society, there are those who don't want it to end, and it's not just the bandits, the people behind them. And I guess those might be the leaders that he's speaking about when he says we must all get hold of our better selves. How optimistic are you that this can be done, quite frankly, in the short term? We don't have time for the long term here.
We don't.
We don't. In the short term, given the, alleged behavior of national leaders across the country.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Asiwaju have demonstrated with this statement is for us, as no matter how your leadership cadre might be, you must start speaking as a patriotic Nigerian. The moment every leader have that responsibility, and see it as our collective responsibility to see Nigeria move forward, to see security of Nigeria not being tampered with, then every one of us will work together in unity. We shouldn't continue to create this ethnic sentiment.
But my fear is that every single politician in this country today will say that what Honorable Olulade has just said, I'm down with it 100%. Yeah. Everyone without fail. Nobody will say, no, I'm going to be disruptive here. This is not going to work because, and then nobody's going to say that because it's not politically correct, even if you feel it. So really, it's about the feeling, the feeling, what people feel and will act upon, as opposed to what they are saying. And that is where I think this is. I think Asiwaju alluded to the fact that there is much work to be done.
He has said it in his speech. He has said, look, call the religious leader, call the imams, call the Khan, call the governor of each of the states. If a governor is talking the way some governors are talking, then we have issues as a country. The country, the nation known as Nigeria, can we still cohabit without necessarily looking at your ethnic
clearly? Asiwaju wants that. His answer is yes, but then he says there is much work to be done.
So he knows that he cannot do it alone. He knows that it's everybody's responsibility. He knows that all of us must start thinking Nigerian. He knows that every one of us should go beyond having this sentiment of this person is from this tribe, this person is from that tribe. When you look at this issue critically, they are criminals. Anybody that is killing people, anybody that is maiming, kidnapping, or raping people all around are criminals. And they must be treated that way.
And unfortunately, people get caught in the crossfire. As you know, the president hasn't been let off lightly. The mere fact of his birth, that he's Fulani, that creates a whole lot of, sentiment in certain quarters. And the man is blamed, the president is blamed, for a lot of stuff.
Let me say this. That is why we need a leader that will dissociate himself from this ethnic bias and look beyond coming from a particular region or the other.
Okay.
That will see himself as a Nigerian.
Indeed.
You could recall, history is there for us. When Obasanjo was there, that was when OPC was creating a lot of problem in the country. When Jonathan was there, that was when we have the Niger Deltas blowing pipe all around because they believe it's their own person that is there. Now the Fulani man is there. The Fulanis are also creating problem for the country. So we must look beyond that.
The president has, at least in one aspect of this whole crisis, is he's he's spoken clearly and directly that anybody, he was referring to the arming of herdsmen, anybody with an AK-47 that, you know, that is unofficial, you know, should be shot on sight. Majid, do you think these will be enough? Because what Asiwaju is, you know, advocating now, that we all have to come together with one mind, I dare say it's a sentiment that's been quite a bit in circulation by different leaders. Yeah, it's just as well that Asiwaju sort of calls attention to it again, but how optimistic are you? Because it is thought that many people say one thing publicly in public fora and then act differently. I'm talking about the political class now. Majid?
Yes, I can pick some of the things you said because it's rather a bit faint, but I think basically what I'm saying is that ethnicity has fueled some responses that are not too good, and that the herders should not, their nomadic nature should not be an excuse for them to continue to inflict wanton destruction on farmers, and that nomadic farming is centuries old, and it's not even giving the best option of either milk or meat. We have seen that in Holland, in Holland, their cows are in ranches and they produce the highest range of milk and even meat. Just recently, Islam Wako, where cattle will be in a ranch. I mean, they just took delivery of some very big cows where milk will be produced on the spot and even meat. So it is not an excuse. It's a cheap way of making money. Cattle business is serious business which they should be willing to invest in. I think these are some of the points which a lot of people have been raising, which Asiwaju equally corroborated. He said dislocation shouldn't be an excuse for violence and other excesses. He said, I raised this to underscore that you must realize the true complexity of the crisis. What is happening has been terrible, but it is not due to any intrinsic evil in either the herder or the farmer. He said the calamity now being faced is born out of situational exigencies. It is but the tragic outcome when often desperate, alienated people are left too long unattended. And when their understanding of the modern socio-economic and environmental forces affecting the very terms of their existence is incomplete. What Asiwaju is saying is that, this is a particular type of farming that is centuries old. We travel, all of us, we travel to all parts of the country. Those who don't even travel, they read that in where we have the best quality yield in both milk and meat, the cattle are not on nomadic, they are not on free range, they are not on open range. They are in ranches where they are fed with hay.
Okay, so, Majid, can I come back to you? Because I have Mazi Okoroafo on the line. Mazi Okoroafo, Asiwaju writes, farmers have a right to farm their land unmolested. Herders have a right to raise their livestock without undue interference. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sir. You're good morning, sir. You're good morning, I guess, and the man on the sky. You see,
yes.
What Asiwaju said is what could have been said for long. Now, let me give you an instance. We need geopolitical conference to discuss this issue. In the sense that the geopolitical zones, we know ourselves. We should all do what?
The volume dropped. I wonder if it is from your side or our side.
When you look at this issue of kidnapping, armed robbery, name them, all this is a terrorist attack. It is Nigerian palabra. Now, ask yourself, religious leaders and traditional rulers, where are they? They can solve this problem and make it because in those days, 70s and 80s, when traditional rulers talk, a man of God speaks, I'm telling you, nobody will utter what he or she would have said. But this time around, because of the digital era we have entered, and that is why we are having all these lapses. But the question is this: if Asiwaju's statement can be packaged, so that let's discuss within the geopolitical zone, I think to bring a lasting solution to all this, because the area will solve the problem is better for us, because development in Nigeria is just shaking. That is why the rate of unemployment continues increasing day in, day out. Look, we are moving to a very dynamic system that is very, very dicey. That if care is not taken down before the end of this year, this thing continues. Mr. Yodi, I wonder which country are we going to stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafo. And at this stage, we'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, please. We'll be right back, and we'll continue to take your calls. Indeed, welcome back. And thank you very much, Mr. George, for holding on. Go right ahead, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And greetings to your guests.
Yes.
Morning.
Well, I also read Asiwaju's statement. What he said cannot be disputed. But I would have expected that type of reaction to come from Mr. President. Why am I saying this, Uncle Yori? You know that these herdsmen have been on the rampage ever since the president came into office. I remember making this statement on your program, asking why they are allowed to hold AK-47 openly without the security men challenging them, until it became so deadly that people are no longer safe in their hands. The thing is that because they see Mr. President as their own man, they believe they can do anything and get away with it, especially as Mr. President's body language was not saying otherwise. They think since they are Fulani by tribe, a Fulani president cannot deal with them decisively. That is just the truth of the matter. So what Mr. Asiwaju is saying now, if it had come from Mr. President, you will see that all this insecurity about herdsmen and farmers will just disappear like that. But we are not saying that.
Mr. George, can I interrupt you briefly, please?
Yes,
what do you think of the president's statement now, the recent statement that anybody carrying an AK-47 should be shot on sight?
Okay. Now, that statement has been made about a week now. How many people carrying AK-47, the Fulani herdsmen, have been shot? It is easy to say something, but to follow it up with action is what counts. Are the herdsmen not still carrying AK-47 as you and I are speaking? How many of them have been shot? Is it that the security men are not seeing them? That's the issue. You should follow up with action. Once you follow up with action, and people see that there are certain things you cannot tolerate, they won't do it. That's what leadership is about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Still talking about leadership, let me go back to the point again that he had said that leaders that are not really being progressive, thinking in nationalistic terms, hardly deserve the title of a leader. That they are. But the other suggestion of a meeting of all stakeholders, Honorable Olulade, I'll take this also to Majid on Skype. Thank you for standing by, Majid. How much good do you think that's going to do? Because one would be tempted to think that, when we come to religious leaders of both faiths, both major faiths, there are more than the two major faiths. Yeah. There's also the thank you very much, the traditional part of it as well. Are we all reading from the same script on this whole matter?
I want to believe that what Asiwaju was even trying to opine is the fact that, look, after discussing at that national level, every state should now come to the round table and discuss this issue with relevant stakeholders. And that is what he's trying to tell the entire world, that, look, let us localize these challenges.
We need to get talking.
Let's start talking. Let's talk solutions in our local way. So if I am in Lagos, let's Lagos traditional rulers, the religious leader, the herdsmen, the farmers, let every one of us come together and discuss this issue and find a lasting solution. If you are in Sokoto, you do the same thing.
So before I come to Majid, Kesandu from Owerri has called in. Good morning, sir.
Uncle, we agree, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Good morning, our guest. Kesandu is my name, and I call from Iboma LGN. You see, Uncle Yuri, the statement of the chieftain of the APC sounds interesting, but it's not impressive. My reason is simple. See, at this material time of Nigeria and this crisis, we are not ready for any statement again. Let me tell you, in as much as yes, it is better late than never, yes, Tinubu has spoken. But the truth about it is that considering the sensitive position he holds in the ruling party and his input in making Mr. President today, I think it is something that we should have seen the national leader of the APC go to Mr. President, discuss with Mr. President, and the statement we should be seeing for him is an assurance that he has agreed with Mr. President that we are going to bring a lasting solution to this quagmire in this country. Let me tell you something. The first step in solving a problem is this identification. At this material time, I think the leadership of the APC and the nation at large should go to the drawing board. How did we even lose it? And remember while growing up as a young man, in a way, we see these people walk about to their businesses. In as much as most times they tend to spoil one or two things, but it is being done in peace. And now somebody has actually will be told before that these people that are doing this thing are not Nigerians. Then how are these people coming into the country? Who is actually giving them AK-47? These are pertinent questions that I expect Mr. President to ask the service chiefs and mandate them to bring an end to this thing. Where are these people hiding with AK-47? Are they not in Nigeria? Have they actually overwhelmed our armed forces? So there are a whole lot of questions to be answered. I do not expect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to come and tell us some of these stories now. No, Nigerians want actions. We want an end to this problem because this will have a direct effect on the economy of this country. So many persons have been displaced from their homes. People have been named, killed, farms destroyed, and it's affecting the economy of this country. And all we're getting is this statement. I am not interested. It sounds interesting, but it's not impressive. This is what most Nigerians want. We want results. We want him to go to Mr. President. Tell Mr. President that, Mr. President, this is what we assured Nigerians. We assured Nigerians. We assured Nigerians progress. One assured Nigerians development, especially on the agricultural sector. And these people's activities are actually affecting adversely the economy of this country. Let us do something. And you come out to tell us that I've had a simple discussion with Mr. President, and in no distant time, this says who will be arrested. So this is what we want, and not some of these statements. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Kesandu, for calling in. Sorry, yeah, did you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to correct an impression.
Okay, because Majid is waiting, but go ahead.
Okay, I just want to correct the impression that what he said. I know Mr. President is on the same page with him, and talking from his position.
Okay, same place with
Tinubu. Because speaking from his own position of leadership in the country carries weight, and it has a lot of impact that will make in the country. So for me, I wouldn't say that you shouldn't say anything now or whatever. Yes, we need action, but he has provided us with solution, the actions that will be taken, and the root cause of the challenges. I think fantastic. I expect Mr. President to come in now.
Okay. Majid, you heard those opinions. Somebody would have wanted this kind of a statement to come from the president himself. The president has made his own statements, quite powerful statements upon this topic. But then there we go. Now, the question, Majid, of Asiwaju's recommendation that we should hold meetings, that all interested parties should come together, we've spoken about, then you can go back to your states, again, set up, you know, another concentric, as it were, circle of meetings again. I just wanted, I wanted you to sort of look at how doable all of this would be. Let me stop there, because you did say you were having a difficulty in hearing me. Can you hear me well, Majid? I thought so. Majid?
I can hear you loud.
Yes, okay.
I can hear you loud.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Fantastic suggestion by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You know, a similar meeting held in Akure, Ondo State, where the chairman of the Governors Forum, then the governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, representatives of Miyetti Allah, and some security operatives were in attendance. But this should be taken to the national level. Like Asiwaju suggested, I mean, a meeting of probably representatives of governors from each of the 6 geopolitical zones, which, I mean, with representatives of the farmers and the herders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and security agencies. Now, after the national meeting, then you now go further to domesticate this, because each state has a peculiar farmer-herder situation, which you cannot compare to others. Now, going further, Asiwaju suggested that while helping the herder, then the farmer should also should not be left behind. It suggested that the herders, for example, could be given some lands at a token, probably unoccupied lands, where they could set up ranches, or the lands could be fenced, so that there won't be any encumbrance to other or local to local or nearby farmers. And he said the government, in addition, should encourage these herders to pay a token, while also in return, government can provide them with some supplementary diets to assist them.
Yeah. While
also compensating the farmers whose food crops and items have been damaged over time.
Okay.
We've continued.
One moment, please, Majid. I have someone. I have a caller waiting. So thank you very much, Majid. And I want to thank Ibrahim in Kaduna for waiting all this while. That statement by Asiwaju, he speaks about the situation of the nomadic herder becoming untenable because of modernity and all of that. The nomadic ways are falling increasingly into areas of conflict and tension. And these ways are cultural. They've been there for centuries. Mr. Ibrahim, how do you see it?
Good morning, Uncle Yoru.
Good morning, sir.
And my greeting to your colleague. You are over there as well.
Thank you.
Good morning.
You see, these whole things will come to an end if all our leaders are able to speak as a nationalist. You see, Bola Tinubu has spoken as a nationalist. He refused to speak as a politician this time around. So I am so glad for this topic that you brought in. You see, if other Nigerians, a good Nigerian, are able to do this, do what is good, and say what is good and do what is right, in fact, we'll surely pull out from all this menace. You see, one thing that I want us to know is this. Yes, Fulani herders, this is the way of their own culture. And other people, they are out there doing herders' job as well. But this nomadic position today, we need to stop, because we cannot continue to do the way the whole thing has been doing. One thing I want to let us know here is this. Nigerians, we must come together as a one nation and one entity, because I have no country and no any nation as my own today. And all of us, we know that this is the right time for us to come together and do what is right and what is good. You see, Nigeria as indistinguishable nation, we cannot continue to do what is wrong, the same thing, and expect another different result. It won't do wrong. You see, Uncle Yoru, My stand on this is this. The issue of Mr. B.A. Tinubu, this is the trajectory of a good thing that is about to happen. And if we do so, it will be not because when I was growing up as a child, yes, my parents they are farmers. We know what it takes to go to farm, and we know what this Fulani riders are going to gain. But look at our population today. The population of Nigeria has grown up beyond expectation. So you cannot expect what they are doing free like those days that will happen again. Please, Nigeria, let us forget about politics. Let's pull the cap of politics out and put up the cap of nationalism. Speak with one voice. Tell ourselves the truth. Let us know where we are going and where we come from. Nigeria will be a better place for all of us and to others to come and abate. Nigeria, please, our politicians, no matter their body languages, they should forget about politics, nepotism, ethnicity, and religion.
Yes.
This is the right time. Let them also come out to speak what Bola Tinubu was talking to us yesterday or last week.
Yes.
It's a very good way to go. Okay, let me rest my voice here.
Thank you very
much. May God see us through, and Nigeria will be great and great and great again. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Oh, God bless us. Bye.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, calling in from Kaduna, because this just reminds me of the other thing, what everybody has been saying. Quite frankly, there's one line in there. We must all get hold of our better self. You know, we must all get hold of our better selves. Is what, and that's a biggie. That's a biggie. So it's like people know exactly what they're doing. It seems to be what Asiwaju is, emphasizing. Yeah. I mean, people know exactly what they're doing. How to now choose to do the right thing?
Thank you.
That really is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Getting hold of our better selves.
Otmanda Fudio said something very significant. He said that conscience is an open wound. Only the truth can heal it. What Asiwaju is trying to tell every one of us is that let us search our conscience and do the right thing. Let justice reign. Let equity reign. Let unity reign. Let us all be patriotic. Let us all come together and see our neighbor as our brother, rather than seeing him as a black, as a yellow or pink, or as a religious leader, or as an ethnic leader. So we should all come together and see ourselves as a united nation and as a patriotic Nigeria. Once we all have that,
of the words of the old national anthem, though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. That was the ideal, the idealistic statement, and maybe that's part of the plenty of work, because really at the end of this, it's going to have to be developmental work.
I think a lot of people are laying emphasis on.
Did I hear that someone is also on the line? I'm sorry. Do I have? Oh, Femi in Surulere. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, good morning to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Majority of our problem as a nation is self-inflicted. And what we call your best and need. Data starts from your wife speaking, your wife speaking, in the sense that when she's preparing to know how many is going to prepare. The same thing for education. When we don't, as of now, we don't have the data. So section of the country are against having accurate data. When we have accurate data, you can plan. So as a nation, we just have to do it. There is a missing link in our security architecture. And if it is not bridged, we still continue to have the same problem. Everybody knows it. They know it. Everybody knows it. But they are afraid to put that link, which is, if you say, because when you wear a shoe, you know where it is preached. The state governors know where their security, what they can do to address all these problems. But they are the buck is at the doorstep of the governor's pharaoh. They have to sit down and come together and address this issue. Where it comes to constitutional amendment, they can do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for calling in. Asiwaju speaks of, without intending, as he writes, to cause, some justification for the macabre scenes that we have been witnessing almost on a daily basis. He speaks of the dislocation of the way of lives of the nomadic Fulani, even as it has been centuries old and it's embedded in their culture. He said he speaks of that not to provide any excuses, but to sort of explain the nature of the problem, being that this is the way we've been, this is the way our fathers have been, our forefathers have been, we know no other way, and suddenly we can't be change like that anymore, it's a dislocation, because as Asiwaju said before mentioning that the nomadic ways have become untenable in a modern world. And that's why he brought on other situations as well. Even though there are powerful and highly educated men behind the farmers, behind the herders, the herders themselves, I don't know the extent to which they appreciate all these finer points that we are making, but their principles are not holding them, as it were.
You see, we have a major challenge here. For the herders, those Fulani guys that you see all around with the cows, are they exposed to modern life? No. So,
but how about the principles?
If the principle,
because I hear that there are so many Igbos that have plenty head of cattle, so many Yorubas that have so much head of cattle, but it is the Fulani that will be working them, used, to work exactly.
Now, what I'm saying is this: that Fulani man that is leading those cows, how exposed is the man? What kind of information does he have?
How current is he, right?
How current is he?
With modern ideas.
With modern ideas. We all have a role to play in this. Because the farmers, they still have seminars. You see them having several seminars for farmers.
Yes.
They are improved. They are exposed to life, to modern life. But these areas, are they also that exposed?
Okay.
Do they know what is going on in Netherlands? Did they know that they can be more productive than what they are doing now?
Let me get Majid to weigh in on this, because our time is fast running down. Majid, this other aspect of the comprehension of the ordinary Fulani herder, is that part of the problem that Asiwaju called the position that they find themselves in untenable due to no fault of theirs? Is that a big hurdle to cross?
Of course, it's not a big hurdle. In times past, we used to grow cocoa in the southern part of the country, and cocoa normally takes about 5 years before you start cashing in on the crops, before you start harvesting. But there are varieties now that gives you cocoa pods in less than 24 months. The same way there has been innovation in cattle rearing and cattle husbandry, so to say. As a student of agric myself, I understand some of these things. But in as much as those who invest in cattle rearing wants to continue the same old way, so as to save costs, we'll continue to have these kind of problems. And that is the point Asiwaju was trying to make in that statement. That
I'm so sorry. I know that you're speaking real stuff there. Thank you very much, Majid. We've completely run out of time. Indeed, we appreciate your coming on. Majid Jamil, executive editor, Upshot Media. And Honorable Olulade, last word to you. You're in the studio here, very, very briefly.
Yeah, my last word will be that happy birthday to Uncle Yori. Yeah, today is his birthday, and I think we should show him some love.
Oh dear. Well, thank you very much. Thoroughly unofficial. Thank you very much, Honorable Olulade, former member, Lagos State House of Assembly, and president of Elenio
Cares Foundation.
Cares Foundation. So that's our program today. Please keep up all the COVID-19 protocols, social distancing, washing hands, masking up. Did I miss one? You know the whole, just don't let up. In addition to registering for the vaccination. That's our program today. See you tomorrow, God willing. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.